Genetic engineering is a process where scientists take genes from one species and force it into the DNA of other species.
All GMOs are Roundup ready, meaning they have been engineered to be sprayed with the herbicide Roundup. So GMOs are all glyphosate modified organisms. That's easy to remember.
They do not want you to know which products you're buying in the grocery store might contain genetically engineered ingredients. They say that label would confuse consumers. They say there's no difference between genetically modified foods and non-GMO foods. Well, that's absurd. That's what the word modified means in genetically modified. It is modified. It is different.
In reality, the overwhelming consensus among the scientists at the FDA were not only that GMOs were different, but that they were inherently dangerous.
Every single independent study conducted on the impact of genetically modified food shows that it damages organs, it causes infertility, it causes immune system failure, it causes holes in the GI tract, it causes multiple organ system failure.
The only human feeding study ever published on GMOs showed that the gene that was inserted into the soybean transferred into the DNA of the bacteria living inside our intestines and continued to produce that protein. So if it happens to be an allergen and you're allergic to it, you may be continuously triggered over and over again by the production of that allergen from within inside your own intestines.
Microbiota, the intestinal flora we have, animals have, in their lower intestine. The word has been changed by the medical establishment into microbiome. We now speak of the microbiome. We all have a microbiome. And the medical researcher, think of it as a new organ, as important as the heart or the brain. I often tell people 10% of the cells of your body are human cells. 1% of the genes in your body are human genes. You have 100 trillion bacteria in your lower intestine and quite a few billions all over in any orifice you could even think of. We are a symbiotic organism. You think you're human. Well, you're a human shell. But those bacteria in your gut are not just there for the ride. They are speaking to each other. There are thousands of species. And here it said behavior. What do you mean? Do you mean like they could influence our behavior? Indeed. Most of the neurotransmitters in your brain comes from your microbiome. 100% of the serotonin in your brain comes from your microbiome. Serotonin, I'm sure all of you know that word. It's one of the major neurotransmitters, and you know very well that if you don't have quite enough serotonin, you are depressed. And if you have less than that, you're mentally ill. These bacteria, of course, the digestive system is home, so they do your digestion, they recycle everything, and they make all kinds of molecules that are absolutely essential to your health. Circulatory system, same thing. The immune system, they are 100% in charge of your immune system. So this thing about asthma and allergies, that's a good sign of a damaged microbiome. And the conclusions are that basically glyphosate is involved or mostly responsible for the epidemic of inflammatory and degenerative diseases that we have seen come in the last 15 years. So this is a molecule of glyphosate which impairs the microbiome and damages the microbiome by being antibiotic and impairs this CYP enzyme, therefore you become toxified in the long term.
The FDA knows that if people knew the truth about how healing their foods can be and how dangerous the processed foods really are with all their chemical contaminants and their genetic modification. If people knew the truth, they would demand food freedom. They would demand access to healing herbal therapies and healing dietary supplements. They would demand that the FDA back down from its intimidation campaigns that have been leveled against producers of dietary supplements and herbal remedies and raw dairy products and so on. People would demand that if they knew, and that is why they are kept ignorant under this campaign of disinformation currently being waged by the FDA.